I do want to talk about your voice because
Okay.
you mentioned that in the beginning. And
Mhm.
there's something sometimes we don't actually hear how we sound to maybe keep that in mind as well. But did something happen with your voice that makes you look at it unfavorably?
I've always had a dislike of my voice because I feel to me, it sounds very, high pitched, like babies and animals love my voice, and I think it's because it's up here. Um, and I'm also just, like, naturally a giggly person, as you've seen, like, that's just how I am, and I just don't like that about myself. I did also get feedback from that 3,000 person event, that somebody said my voice was annoying, so it kind of, like, solidified, I think, what I feel about my own voice to have someone else say, "Your voice is annoying." I mean, yes, I realize this is the only voice I have, but I'm annoyed too.
Well, how many so you had the speaking engagement. That was seems like your largest one, and
Mhm.
you went out on stage, and for the most part, let me hear you share something positive first about that speaking engagement, and then I'm going to address that comment.
Okay. I also got a lot of good feedback from the engagement where people said that the content was really good, that they walked away with actionable ideas that they could immediately go implement, which is what every speaker wants to hear, or at least me. But then I got that piece of feedback about my voice, and I think I probably allowed myself to focus more in on that because it's something that has bothered me versus the positive.
Right, and human beings tend to do that. You can have 100 positive comments, and then one negative will come in, and it's negativity bias. As humans, we are programmed to, I guess, prioritize threats and things that can hurt us. So when a
Yeah.
comment comes in that's negative, automatically we might say, "Ooh, have to be cautious over this." But let's challenge it. And I know that there's a certain highness that you don't like in your voice, but it's not all the time. I've I listen to you speak and you modulate your voice. I've heard highs and lows
Mhm.
in your voice. So it's only certain times. Would you say that's fair?
Probably. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Now I'm, like, listening to myself and getting all weird, but I probably, yes.
Right. So it might not be all the time. Maybe it is in those excited moments and that's where the
Mhm.
breathing happens. But the comment comes in, do you know the person who made the
No.
comment? No.
Mm. It's
So you don't.
anonymous.
Okay, so you don't know where the person lives, you don't know what was happening that day
No.
for that person, you don't know that person's state of mind. Fair?
Right. Fair.
Okay. So with that said, what are the chances that that person might have been having a bad day or something was going on with them?
Yeah. I mean, considering lately, like, past 4 years or so, yeah, they might have been having a bad day.
Could be, exactly, right? I mean, what goes on in the world, there's a greater probability that they're having a bad day. There's a book, I don't know if you've ever read it. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz, and it's called The Four Agreements. Have you ever read that book?
No.
It's good. I read it when I was in my 20s, and it's a game changer. There's 4 agreements that you have to make an agreement with yourself and practice, and the second agreement is don't take things personally, because usually when people say things, it's more about a function of who they are, what's going on with them. It could be a projection, it could be about them, so you kind of have to take it, even though it's directed at you, there's always something behind it.
Mm. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I mean, I fill out speaker forms because as a speaker, I want to make sure that the speaker has feedback. But I guess I just would never be like, your voice is annoying.
Yeah, no, I
But
it News.
Yeah, no, it should
Exactly.
be a little bit more constructive than that, but that makes sense what you're saying, and I think that's just a life lesson in general, right? Like, you never know what someone else is going through, and how they criticize you is probably, yeah, maybe more something to do with them than to do with you, but I like that agreement. That sounds like an agreement I need to make with myself.
I think we constantly have to just by what we're faced with, but it could have been even something that you were saying that
Mhm.
struck a nerve and they pinpointed your voice as you said it. So it's hard to tell. It could be any number of things.
Yeah, that's really true. I'm trying to, like, think back now. I mean, I guess what I think I'm hearing you say, or what I'm coming away with in my head, is I need to go watch the replay of
Yeah,
that talk, which I have access to. I just haven't watched it.
I think you should because you'll strengthen yourself as a speaker. And you said right at the start that you always want to be better. And that is definitely a way to be better. But you might find out some insights. Just whatever it is that you were sharing, maybe there's something there that might be a moment for you to say, "Oh, I could see maybe why." I mean, I think I told you the story about how I had one of my classes. I was on video, and somebody pointed out that they hated the way I was moving my hands as I was teaching about
Yeah.
language. So you take it with a grain of salt, which I did. I thanked the person. I did. I went back and I said, "Oh my gosh, what were my hands doing at that moment?" It was actually eye-opening for me. You never know what you're going to find out, but that playback might just give you some insights and help you move forward.
Oh, that's such an interesting thing that you say that, because my husband, it wasn't for this year's event, but the same event last year he attended, and he said, "You did this, like, bird flapping dance across the stage," and I was like, "I did? I don't recall doing that." Um, but yeah, I guess maybe I'm going so much into, like, the don't be nervous mode that I'm not even aware of what my voice or my hands or my bird flapping dance is happening.
Well, it sounds entertaining. If anything, I bet you there's 85% of your audience love the bird flapping dance. And this is another lesson to think about. Some
Right,
people will love the animation, will love the energy. Some people just won't. And
right,
Brooke, you're getting out there 2 speaking engagements a month, which means next year, 2025, you might be doing 3 or 4 a month. And that means there's more people who will be sharing their critique with
right.
you. And the bigger you get, the more you're going to hear. It's a curse and a blessing at the same time, but it toughens your skin and it gets you to reflect. How do you reflect? What do you do after a speaking engagement besides looking at
Feedback.
the actual feedback? Yes.
Like, if I'm being honest, that's all that I do, and I think that's probably where a big gap is happening in how I want to present myself and how I'm presenting myself, is I'm not giving myself the review. I'm not playing the tapes.
That's right. If you don't do that reflection piece, you don't celebrate the success as well. You might jump into the negative, which it in this case I could see why. Because a comment was made, it touches something that you're not happy with, but you're going to get stronger
Mhm.
with. But at the same time, there's a lot of celebration that could happen. And with celebration comes that gratitude for I'm so thankful that I was on that stage, regardless of what anybody says. I'm thankful that I'm there, and it gets you set up for your next opportunity in a positive way to say, I've learned and I can't wait for the next one to come.
Yes. I would love to get to that point. I watch And these are people who've done it for a long time too, so they've had a lot of practice, but gosh, when you see those good speakers get up on stage, it just feels like a natural conversation. They're so good at what they do, and the information's good too, so it's like, I know I have the advice or the content that's good, I just wanna have the presence, I guess, is what I feel like needs fine-tuning, and so, I guess to have presence, I have to look at my presence and
Yes.
make adjustments to move forward.
Yes, to look at your present, to celebrate your presence. The first step in the reflection is always to say, what did I like? What went well? And then
Mhm.
after you celebrate some successes, then you can move to what could I have done better? What how do I want to improve? What are some steps I can take? And that at least gets you to learn from whatever happens and to feel good about all the things that you did right. And then you can move that forward into your next. And I think also, I'm going to ask you to put a brief statement together for me because I think this is
Okay.
going to help you
Oh boy.
because it's really easy. It's
Okay.
a speaker's persona statement. If I were to ask you how you think people perceive you or how maybe how you want to be perceived.
Hmm.
How would you answer that? I want to be perceived as a speaker who is dot dot dot.
Respected. I would say respected, and if I had to say, like, what people see in me now, I think they do see, like, the fun, entertaining side of me. As you know, I can be, like, pretty silly and goofy, that's kind of my personality. I want to be that person, but I also wanna be taken seriously.
Okay. So I want to be the speaker who is respected, taken seriously, and can be fun and
Yeah.
entertaining. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay.
that's absolutely fair.
Now I want you to change it to I am. Say, I am the speaker
I
who's
am the
respected.
speaker who's
Yes.
respected and
And
taken
take,
seriously, but also has a lot of fun.
yes. Now keep saying that because whatever you put after I am will be. It tells your brain, it frames your thoughts, it plays out in your emotions. Your emotions affect your behavior, and your behavior then affects the outcome of any situation.
Yes. I think I live in the, like, excited state a lot, and that's okay, but I think I need to mix in the lower serious voice with some of those pauses, and if I can come up with, like, a mix of those things throughout, I can keep people focused and entertained, but also become the respected speaker that I want to become.
I am going to see you right after the break.